pictures to show to you that I think you might find interesting. I want to say it's an honor to be introduced by someone like Jordan. He's one of the foremost scholars of our time, and I honor and respect him. And as he said, we're old friends. We go back a long way. I also want to say a word or two about the young man who was up here on this podium before I showed up here. Rich Dolan is very special. He's probably one of the foremost historians of our time. And I strongly urge you, encourage you, to not only buy and read his first volume, but get the second, because I'm waiting expectantly for volume 3. That young man has pulled the cover back from this cover-up in the scandal that we've been living through for the last 60, 70 years. And I take my hat off to him. I've known him for some time, and I'm so encouraged by young men like him that are picking up and going with this program. Because as I'm sure all of you know, I'm a member of the old guard, and we're diminishing daily, literally. Not a week or a month goes by that I don't hear that some of my old cronies are gone. They're not gone, they've just crossed back. They're home now. But I miss them. And I'm gratified to see some of the young men coming along that are filling the space for us. I'm also gratified to look out and see you guys, because you're the reason I'm here. I don't speak publicly much anymore. I find it inconvenient. I hate like hell to travel in airplanes. I got back from Spain here at the end of July, and I had to go to bed for a damn week. And then I went through Kennedy Airport, and I was outraged when I looked around at Kennedy. It's a national disgrace. I mean, it's dirty, the broken furniture, the service is rotten, the restrooms are filthy, and most of them are closed. It's terrible to walk through Kennedy, having gone through the airport at Barcelona and seen new and modern, and oh my God, those Spaniards are really something else. They put on a show there in Barcelona the last week in July that was outstanding. 1,500 people showed up, and they had standing room. It was a hell of a good conference, and I was honored to be invited. I and Stephen Greer, Stephen Bassett, who I will touch upon briefly in a few minutes. And I was gratified by the Spaniards. They're great hosts, and they're very enlightened and very interested in this subject. As many of you, I'm sure, know, this subject has been my favorite subject now for over the last 20 years. I've been on this journey for 45 years, but I've been speaking publicly the last 20. And I speak bluntly, openly, and I violate my national security oath every time I open my mouth. And I plan to violate my national security oath tonight. But again, a special thanks for you guys, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. I'm so encouraged by the people I meet at these conferences, because not only are you open-minded, but you're enlightened and you're enthused, because I think you've learned, as I have, that this subject is, in my opinion, the greatest story in human history, because it is the story of human history. We're not alone, guys, and we have never been alone. We are members of an infinite universe filled with infinite intelligent life. And we have had an intimate interrelationship with several advanced extraterrestrial intelligences now for, at least 10,000 years. And the evidence is pretty overwhelming that at least one, perhaps two of those different groups had a hand in engineering the human genome over 100,000 years ago. And that evidence is literally overwhelming. Now, we're going to touch upon a whole bunch of stuff, and I want you to understand, I have come to the point in my life where I have become to be almost sympathetic to the government for keeping the lid on this thing. They don't know how to lift the lid on this subject. They don't know how to lift the lid on Pandora's box, because when they lift the lid just a little tiny bit, boom, the whole damn thing is going to come out, and nobody in government is prepared for that. Because the story is so damn big. I know that many of you, probably most of you, are aware of the famous Brookings report. NASA gave a contract to the Brookings Institute in the late 50s. And the basic point was simply this: try to find out what should we do if we, in the future, should encounter advanced extraterrestrial intelligence. And they worked on this thing. Thank you, my boy, thank you. They worked on this thing for 3 years, published it in '61, delivered it to Congress in '61, and they concluded as a result of this study that if we should indeed at some point run into advanced extraterrestrial intelligence, it would probably be a good idea to keep your mouth shut and not tell the masses of people. Now, Margaret Mead was on the committee, and she'd had experiences in the South Pacific with primitive societies where they had been confronted by our advanced culture, and those primitive societies shriveled and died. And the conclusion of the Brookings study was that if we indeed would encounter advanced extraterrestrial intelligence, we probably shouldn't tell the masses of people, because, sociologically, theologically, scientifically, it would be a damn disaster. So they published that study, and it literally became national policy. And it's one of the major reasons why the lid has been kept down so tightly on this thing for so long. As I said, it's not simply that we're being visited by guys from other planets. It isn't simply that we're being visited by guys from other star systems, nor are we being visited, from other galaxies. Good God, those are all given. They also learned, and we knew that when I retired in '76, that we're being visited by guys from other dimensions. They're coming through portals, apparently. They create portals, apparently. And they're coming and going from other dimensions. And the more advanced societies we have encountered have been multidimensional. And it's no wonder that our ancestors deified these dudes back 10,000 years ago. I think there are people today who would deify them if they were to confront them and see what they can do and understand where they're from and what their capabilities are. You would think that it was almost godlike to have that kind of technology. So, over the years, I have come to a point where I've almost begun to be patient and tolerant of the government's lies. But not quite. Not quite. I'm so fed up with government lies, I don't even know where to start. You too, huh? A couple of people, last week I was over at the Bay Area conference, and a couple of people said, "What have we learned in the last year since you were here?" And I said, "Well, we learned that we American people elected a black president." Isn't that pretty damned impressive? Who would have ever thought that the American people could elect a black president?